वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी. So we start together. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuddha Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastite Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Vishnavadari Prabhupada Priya Shigiri Rajaya Swamini Sumaktarara Rasbihari Bhyam Bhakti Vyas-Chatmadayini. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Vishnavadari Shvate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Namo. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shriyavadi Paschatari Shatarini Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pangum Nangaite Girim Yatripatamaham Vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam. Hare Krishna. So we are continuing. So in chapter Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6. Today we are going to discuss text 16. So actually everything is recorded. It's on Facebook and it's shifting to YouTube. You know our YouTube channel, right? So whatever classes you missed, so you can catch up either on Facebook or Facebook, keep it for only 1 month, and then I'm shifting to YouTube. So you have that YouTube, you have, so Facebook also. All right, so this is Dhyana Yoga. So we did quite a lot of revision the last few sessions, so I'm not going to go back there. But now Krishna, after giving the prerequisite so that we can enter this dhyana. So the first thing is that we should be willing to give up sense gratification. Because the mind, if it's focused on sense gratification, then it pops up, whether we like it or not. I think we all have experience. Even when we are doing our deity service, our mind goes off to our family matters, right? To our problem with this one, that one, right? So this attachment to all these things is what create this. So past life samskara plus our present samskara. So the mind is the key there. So the second criteria is that the sense of possessiveness. So if we are too much attached to material possessions, then this also creates a disturbance in the mind. All right, so these two things. So first thing is that the mind should give up the idea of sense gratification and it should accept whatever is favorable to remember Krishna, to be in a situation that makes us remember Krishna and give up unfavorable situations. So then second is about this ahankar, which make me believe that I'm the owner, enjoyer, controller of everything. So this has to be given up. So then Krishna proceeds to discuss about now how we keep the body, because this is a mechanical and physical yoga. This Ashtanga yoga is described here. So one should hold one's body and neck and head erect in a straight line and stay steadily at the tip of the nose. Thus, with an unagitated, subdued mind, devoid of fear, completely free from sex life, one should meditate upon me within the heart and make me the ultimate goal of life. Thus, practicing constant control of the body, mind, and activities, the mystic transcendentalist, his mind regulated, attains the kingdom of God by cessation of material existence. So text 6 now. So we had spoken about nirvana. What is this nirvana? Which I'm not going to get into it again. So text 6. So now Krishna says, Natyashnatastu yogosti Nachaikantam anasnataha Nachaikantam anasnataha Nachati swapna shilasya Jagrato naiva charjuna. Okay, so there is no possibility of one's becoming a yogi or Arjun if one eats too much or eats too little, sleeps too much or does not sleep enough. All right, so that we all know, right? So there is a time to go to bed, there's a time to get up, there's a time to eat, not like Bombay people, what do? What Bombay people, what they do? They eat midnight, right? They eat their lunch at midnight. Regulation of diet and sleep is recommended herein for the yogis. Too much eating means eating more than is required to keep the body and soul together. And, like the advertisement keep on popping up, like too much weight, then we want to become slim. So looks like we are eating too much, wrong time, wrong food, right? So how can you be a yogi? Carrying around such a heavy weight. Too much eating means eating more than is required to keep the body and soul together. There is no need for man to eat animals because there is an ample supply of grains, vegetables, fruits, and milk. Such simple foodstuff is considered to be in the mode of goodness, according to the Bhagavad Gita. Animal food is for those in the mode of ignorance. Therefore, those who indulge in animal food, drinking, smoking, and eating food which is not first offered to Krishna, will suffer sinful reactions because of eating only polluted things. Bhunjate tvagham papa ye pachantyatma karana. Anyone who eats for sense pleasure or who cooks for himself, not offering his food to Krishna, eats only sin. One who eats sin and eats more than is allotted to him cannot execute perfect yoga. It is best that one eat only the remnants of foodstuff offered to Krishna. A person in Krishna consciousness doesn't eat anything which is not first offered to Krishna. Therefore, only the Krishna conscious person can attain perfection in yoga practice. Nor can one who artificially abstains from eating, manufacturing his own personal process of fasting, practice yoga. The Krishna conscious person observes fasting as it is recommended in the scripture. He does not fast or eat more than is required, and he is thus competent to perform yoga practice. One who eats more than required will dream very much while sleeping, and he must consequently sleep more than is required. One should not sleep more than 6 hours daily. One who sleeps more than 6 hours out of 24 is certainly influenced by the mode of ignorance. A person in the mode of ignorance is lazy and prone to sleep a great deal. Such a person cannot perform yoga. All right? So, standard set, meaning 6 hours is sufficient. Okay, maybe 7 hours maximum, but not 9 hours, not 10 hours, right? So, going to bed early and getting up early, right? And eating at regulated times, right? And in the appropriate quantity, right?
And fasting as per the Ekadashi.
Yes. Fasting is according to requirement. All right? It's not according to my whims, meaning that it should be according to Shastra, right? So Ekadashi and any festivals, right? All those festivals and Ekadashi, this is sufficient fasting, meaning at least 2 days in a month you have to fast, right? Every month there is some festival, half day fast here, half day fast there, full day fast here. Only Janmashtami is the most demanding, right?
Now then next Ekadashi will come next month. That will be big one.
Yeah, Krishna. Okay, so don't invent your own fastings, right? In India, I say they just go on fasting. Every day is a fasting, right? And then they fall sick, right?
It should be regulated, like means whatever which we follow, it should be as per what is
Yes, so Prabhupada has given a very simple formula.
twice
Twice a month, Ekadashi. So if you can do full fast, that's best. If you can't, then you can have little milk, you can have fruits, you have some nuts, you can have some vegetable soups, right? Some root vegetables allowed, but many vegetables are not allowed because it's not good, right? Like brinjal, it's not good. Okay, so this is, do not manufacture your own personal process of fasting. Then you can't, then your body is so harassed. Okay, let's do text 17. Yuktahara viharasya yukta chetasya karmasu yukta swapnava bodhasya yogo bhavati dukhaha. He who is regulated in his habits of eating, sleeping, recreation, and work can mitigate all material pains by practicing the yoga system. Now let's hear what Prabhupada has to tell us. Extravagance in the matter of eating, sleeping, defending, and mating, which are demands of the body, can block advancement in the practice of yoga. Okay, so extravagance. So we have already discussed this. As far as eating is concerned, it can be regulated only when one is when one is practiced to take and accepts prasadam, sanctified food. So this prasadam, meaning we are going to be choosy where we eat, no? We are going to be very careful where we eat, who is giving us to eat, where this is coming from, right? So one that automatically regulates one. So Lord Krishna is offered, according to the Bhagavad Gita 9.26, vegetables, flowers, fruits, grains, milk, etc. In this way, a person in Krishna consciousness becomes automatically trained not to accept food not meant for human consumption, or not in the category of goodness. So Prabhupada is just being straight about this, right? And eating animals is not for human consumption. As far as sleeping is concerned, a Krishna conscious person is always alert in the discharge of his duties in Krishna consciousness, and therefore any unnecessary time spent sleeping is considered a great loss. If you have to get up for Mangalarti, if you miss it, then you always regret. Why did I miss it, right? Because that 1 hour, it's so precious, right? We always regret, I've lost 1 hour this morning. Avyartha kalatvam, a Krishna conscious person cannot bear to pass a minute of his life without being engaged in the service of the Lord. Therefore, his sleeping is kept to a minimum. Like you say, why do I have to sleep? His ideal in this respect is Srila Rupa Goswami, who was always engaged in the service of Krishna and who could not sleep more than 2 hours a day, and sometimes not even that. We're so happy if we don't have to eat, we don't have to sleep, right? Thakur Haridas would not even accept prasadam, nor even sleep for a moment without finishing his daily routine of chanting with his beads 300,000 names. As far as work is concerned, a Krishna conscious person doesn't do anything which is not connected with Krishna's interests. So whatever work we are doing, it should be favorable for Krishna. And thus his work is always regulated and is untainted by sense gratification, meaning what work am I doing? Is it involving meat eating, intoxication, gambling, illicit sex? So whatever work we're doing, we have to check this. And this is not happening. Since there is no question of sense gratification, there is no material leisure for a person in Krishna consciousness. And because he is regulated in all his work, speech, sleep, wakefulness, and all other bodily activities, there is no material misery for him. So this is no material, meaning he's in good health, his mind is pure, he's happy, he's content. So that's right. So therefore, no material misery for him.
The other word is wakefulness is very apt.
What does it say?
And because he's regulated in all his work, speech, sleep, wakefulness.
Yeah. So he's happy to be awake, not like other people who get drunk so that they can sleep, right? It's terrible. Text 18. Yada viniyatam chittam atmanyeva vatishthate
आत्मानेवा तिष्ठति
निष्पृहा सर्वकामेभ्यो
निःस्पृहा सर्वकामेभ्यो
युक्त इत्युच्यते तदा.
युक्ता इत्युच्यते तदा.
Okay, now let's look at this. When the yogi, by practice of yoga, disciplines his mental activities and becomes situated in transcendence, devoid of all material desires, he is said to be well established in yoga. So when the yogi, by practice of yoga, disciplines his mental activities and becomes situated in transcendence. So let's read what Prabhupada has to say on this. Devoid of all material desires, he is said to be well established in yoga. So now, well established meaning in the beginning there are so many obstacles up and down. So I say it takes a lifetime. It's not something that we're going to do overnight, right? Even after so much sacrifice, some desires in the heart, and that desire pull us back, right? And we fall back into our old habits,
And then
our whole
come back again.
Yeah, we fall back our old habits, old environment, all the childhood. Childhood comes rushing back to us. All the wrong things we learn or spoke, everything come back to us. When you come to old age, right? When you come in old age, you start remembering.
Yes.
Is it true?
Flashback. Yes.
Is it true? My God. Right? You come in old age, whatever was taught when you were a child, whatever you learned when you were a child, this comes back, right? Even bad words that you learned, you heard, right? When you become civilized, when you grew up, right? You stop speaking all those bad words. Suddenly you wonder, from where all this? Because from old age, it's like you have no more control. I don't know what it is. Like it is no more a deliberate control over the mind and senses. It's like, so risky, because when you die, what will happen? The mind, whatever has gathered, right, it will just pop up, right? So I read somewhere in Prabhupada's books itself, say that this yogi, so he's attempting to control the mind, okay? But just like water which is muddy, so the mud will settle down, right? Like in a lake, it's settled down. But you don't know when, anytime there's agitation, right?
Yes.
Agitation of the mind,
Yes.
and then all the mud again comes up. So that's not a good thing to happen, right? So, I read this verse again. When the yogi, by practice of yoga, disciplines his mental activities and becomes situated in transcendence, devoid of all material desires. So the key point here is material desire. This is what caused the mud to again come to the surface. So he's said to be well established in yoga. Okay, purport. The activities of the yogi are distinguished from those of an ordinary person by his characteristic cessation from all kinds of material desires, of which sex is the chief. A perfect yogi is so well disciplined in the activities of the mind that he can no longer be disturbed by any kind of material desire. So see, this perfectional stage can automatically be attained by persons in Krishna consciousness, as stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam 9.4.18 to 20. Now see, it's like almost next to impossible to reach that stage, right? So he's saying when we are well situated in yoga, right? So, Savai mana Krishna pada ravindayor vachamsi vaikuntha gunanuvarnane karo hare mandira marjanadishu Shrutim Chakarachita Satkathodaye Mukundalingalaya Vidarshane Drisho Tadbritya Gratras Parashe Nanga Sangamam Granam Chatatpada Saroja Saurabhe Shrimattulasya Rasanam Tat Arpite Pado Hare Chitra Padanu Sarpane Shiro Rishikesha Padabhivandane Kamam cha dasye natu kama kamyaya yathottama shloka janashraya ratihi. King Ambarish first of all engaged his mind on the lotus feet of the Lord, on the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. Then one after another, meaning that his determination is fixed. So he knows what he wants. Okay? See, when we are in duality, should I be in Krishna consciousness or should I be in the material world? So long as we're in this duality, then we can't fix the mind. So even though we may not do it perfectly, but at least determination should be, the decision has to be taken that I want Krishna. So then one after the other, he engaged what? His words in describing the transcendental qualities of the Lord. His hands in mopping the temple of the Lord. So no hesitation to mop a table, to mop this, that, no problem. We can do it. Because the king did it. He engaged his words in describing the transcendental qualities of the Lord, his hands in mopping the temple of the Lord, his ears in hearing of the activities of the Lord, his eyes in seeing the transcendental forms of the Lord, his body in touching the bodies of the devotees, his sense of smell in smelling the scents of the lotus flowers offered to the Lord, his tongue in tasting the tulsi leaf offered at the lotus feet of the Lord, his legs in going to places of pilgrimage and the temple of the Lord. Okay, so meaning we are going pilgrimage, do tourism, right? Or we should go.
The whole.
Yeah, so we should go in search of the temple of the Lord. His head in offering obeisances unto the Lord, his desires in executing the mission of the Lord. All these transcendental activities are quite befitting a pure devotee. You have any question on this?
Means he was fully into Krishna. The whole means is mind, body, soul, everything.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. Okay, now. This transcendental stage may be inexpressible subjectively by the followers of the impersonal path, but it becomes very easy and practical for a person in Krishna consciousness, as is apparent in the above description of his engagement, description of the engagement of Maharaj Ambarish. Unless the mind is fixed on the lotus feet of the Lord by constant remembrance, constant remembrance, such transcendental engagements are not practical. In the devotional service of the Lord, therefore, these prescribed activities are called archana, or engaging all the senses in the service of the Lord. The senses and the mind requires engagement. Simple abnegation is not practical. Therefore, for people in general, especially those who are not in the renounced order of life, transcendental engagement of the senses and the mind is described above is the perfect process for transcendental achievement, which is called yukta in the Bhagavad Gita. Okay, tell me what you got from this.
What do you mean by yukta?
Yukta, join. Right, remember? Yukta. Yukta. Engagement. Right? Meaning that I use my senses in the service of the Lord. Is yukta. So this section has been quoted millions of times about how to align the body, mind and soul in Krishna's service.
And when you're totally into Krishna's consciousness and all, then other things also don't trouble you, and your mind also doesn't get diverted.
Yes. All right, so text 19. Yatha dipo nivatastho
Yatha deepo nivatasto
Nangate sopama smrita
engate somapasputa
Yogino yata chittasya
yogino yata chittasya
Yunjato yogamatmanaha.
yunjato yogamatmana.
You want to read?
I'll read.
Yeah.
You want me to read straight or word to word?
Yeah, you can do that.
Yatha as Deepa lamp Nivastha in place without wind, Na does not, Ingate waver, Sa this Upama comparison, Smrita is considered, Yogina of the yogi, Yata Chittasya whose mind is controlled, Yunjata constantly engaged, Yoga in meditation, Atmana on transcendence. As a lamp in a windless place does not waver, so the transcendentalist, whose mind is controlled, remains always steady in his meditation on the transcendent self. Purport. A truly Krishna consciousness person, always absorbed in transcendence, in constant, undisturbed meditation on his worshipable Lord, is as steady as a lamp in a windless place.
Yeah, so this is the training, the practice. Sorry?
I will put it out.
So this is, like different stages in our spiritual evolution. So this is a very important step. So first we are regulated, and after regulation, so then see, if you are so much bothered by material miseries, how will you focus on practicing yoga, bhakti yoga, gyan yoga, whatever yoga? If you're so much in the misery, you're always sick. You're always thinking of your body. You're always thinking of running to the doctor. You're always thinking about your diet. You're thinking about your yoga, hatha yoga. So much bodily care. What time is there to remember Krishna? Right? So therefore, devotees have to make sure they don't fall sick unnecessarily. Whenever there's change of climate, it will happen. But devotees must be in the mode of goodness, that they don't fall sick. And in case there is any sickness, it should be immediately taken care of, right? And we should not do things that increase the sickness, right? If you know you should not take sugar, right? You have to control it. This is nature's way of controlling us, right? Disease. Now, if we go against it, then we can't be a yogi, right? And then I should have sufficient income that I should be satisfied with my income, right? I should be, if I have a family, I should have sufficient that I can give them basic necessities. Okay, I shouldn't take a loan and then send them off to US, right? When you can't afford it, you put yourself in debt, plus you put that poor child also in debt, right? Everything is over. So we live within our means. So it's to be a yogi, we have to be peaceful, right? Anyway, I don't want to make the whole list because in so many of our classes we have spoken a lot. So I want to just run and try to cover as much as possible. So, where are we?
20.
My page turned. Yeah, my page turned. Okay, all right. So now this is a huge section, but I love this. So yeah, so now we are going higher and higher in the practice. So meaning that when the mind is disciplined and is not running off, oh my brother, oh my sister, oh my this one, that one, right? Mind is okay, stable. Mind is stable, right? So then what happens next? Like we study in one book called Madhurya Kadambini. So it gives the different stages in your spiritual life, and how do you check where you are in the spiritual life? It's actually a barometer or thermometer, you can check. You can check exactly where you are. So it said that, okay, we may be very happy to be chanting on beads or in the kirtan. Now, do I actually have ruchi for this kirtan will be tested? If suppose suddenly a family member pass by, you stop chanting, you start running after that person. Right? So you can check your level of ruchi. Right? Or an object of sense gratification comes in front of you and you turn and you just watch that person or object, right? So meaning you've taken your focus off your meditation on the deity, right? So this is exactly what is being discussed here. So if by proper practice and by grace of the Supreme Lord, the mind has finally, stopped moving here and there, steady, then what next? Yatro paramate chittam nirudham yoga sevaya yatra chaivatmanatmanam Pasyanatmani tushyati Sukham atyantikam yattat Buddhi grahayam atyendriyam Yam latva chaparam labham. Are you with us? What's that?
After that one sentence.
Yeah. Veti yatra na chaivayam Sthitas chalati tatvataha Yam latva chaparam labham Manyate nadhikam tataha Yasmin sthito na dukkhena Gurunapi vichalyate Tam vidya dukha samyoga Yog Viyogam yoga samgitam. Okay, now this is a huge purport, huge. So we will do. No, better I read because otherwise we'll have to do double. All right. So because we can discuss as we read. So now we've come to the stage of
stableness. We are at the
perfection.
yes.
Samadhi.
Yes.
Okay? In the stage of perfection called samadhi, trance, one's mind is completely restrained from material mental activities by practice of yoga. All right? So, so when can we reach that stage of trance? So meaning when the mind is completely, not little bit, but completely restrained from material mental activities by practice of yoga. So meaning getting diverted by so many million things, just overthinking about what's going on, in your sister's house, in your brother's house, in your this one's house, right? No. This perfection now, how? So when we reach that perfection, what will happen? This perfection is characterized by one's ability to see the self by the pure mind and to relish and rejoice in the self. So now remember that right now we are not able to see ourselves, right? Definitely we are not seeing others and we are not seeing ourselves. But when we come to the stage of samadhi, then you start thinking and looking at myself. Has it ever happened to you that you start looking at yourself and thinking, why did I do this? Why do I think like this? Why did I speak this? Right? So, stage of perfection, meaning that we wake up. We actually wake up and we look at myself. Oh my God, how could I have done this? How could I have spoken this? How could I have thought this?
Self-introspection.
Yeah. What it's like, it's not just introspection. It's not just introspection. You wake up and see what you are doing. And you come to your senses. You wonder, what are you doing? Right? Most people, they don't know what they are doing, right? They're unconscious of themselves. They just do things so in such a gross way, unaware of their own benefit or how they may be harming and creating disturbance for others, right? All family problems come from this, right? So, in the stage of samadhi, so this stage is characterized by one's ability to see the self by the pure mind. What is this pure mind? What is this pure mind? What has happened? Pashyan atmana atmanam pashyan atmani tushyati. So I become satisfied. How? This perfection is characterized by one's ability to see the self by the pure mind. What is that pure mind? Devoid of designations. Devoid of designations. Sarvopadhi vinirmuktam. Upadhi. What is the meaning of upadhi?
Means your positions in life.
Okay. Such as?
Like, now suppose a person is working. So what is his position in the office? Or a person is teaching in the school. So what are his positions there? Like the person may compare that way.
This is designations, right? Upadhi is designations. So when finally the soul becomes free from this upadhi, he doesn't have to maintain an image, right, in society. He doesn't have to prove himself to anybody, right? So this person finally he can relax and here Krishna says he rejoices in the self. In that joyous state, one is situated in boundless transcendental happiness, realized through transcendental senses. Established thus, one never departs from the truth. And established thus, one never departs, meaning that once you know it, you're not going to unknow it. Like now you have discovered Krishna consciousness. You can't say, okay, let me just forget it, right? It's not possible, right? So it's like you woke up. So established thus, one never departs from the truth. You can't say, no, being, offering our food is not necessary. You're not going to say this, right? Because once you know, it's like it's like fixed in your consciousness. Food must be offered. It's not optional, right? So one will never, when you're in that stage of samadhi, we are coming and we have walked to the stage of samadhi, right? So one never departs from the truth. Like if I'm awake, I can't pretend to be asleep, right? I say, I don't know, right? And he's happy about this. And upon gaining this, he thinks there is no greater gain. He's not regretting, oh, what did I give up? Right? No. He thinks there is no great.
Happy in that moment, so that whatever we have done is the best.
Yes. Being situated in such a position, one is never shaken, even in the midst of greatest calamities. This indeed is actual freedom from all miseries arising from intellectual contact. So if I'm miserable, so say, okay, be positive, think good. You think everything will be okay? No, it doesn't work that way, right? So being situated in such a position, one is never shaken, even if the mind, even in the midst of greatest difficulty. Somewhere says calamities. This indeed is actual freedom from all miseries arising from material contact. Okay, you can read it, but you need to take this mic. You need to take this, and just carefully take it.
Yes, Mataji. Purport. By practice of yoga, one becomes gradually detached from material concepts. This is the primary characteristics of yoga principle. And after this, one becomes situated in trance or samadhi, which means that the yogi realizes the super soul through transcendent mind and intelligence, without any of the misgivings of identifying the self with the super self. Yoga practice is more or less based on the principles of Patanjali's system. Some unauthorized commentators try to identify the individual soul with the super soul, and the monists think this to be liberation, but they do not understand the real purpose of the Patanjali system of yoga. There is an acceptance of transcendental pleasure in the Patanjali system, but the monists do not accept this transcendental pleasure out of fear of jeopardizing the theory of oneness. The duality of knowledge and knower is not accepted by the non dualist. But in this verse, transcendental pleasure realized through transcendental senses is accepted. And this is corroborated by Patanjali Muni, the famous exponent of the yoga system. The great sage declares in his Yoga Sutras, Purushartha Sunyanam Gunam
प्रातिप्रवसः कवेलं स्वारूपा प्रतिष्ठा वा चित्तशक्तिर इति. This siddhi shakti or internal potency, chitti shakti. This chitti shakti or internal potencies is transcendental. Purusharth means material, religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and at the end, the attempt to become one with the Supreme. This oneness with the Supreme is called Kevalam by the monists. But according to Patanjali, this Kevalam is an internal or transcendental potency by which the living entity becomes aware of his constitutional position. In the words of Lord Chaitanya, this state of affairs is called Chittodarpan Marjanam or Chittodarpana Marjanam, Chetto Marjanam, or clearance of the impure mirror of the mind. This clearance is actually liberation or Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam. The theory of nirvana also preliminary corresponds with the principle. In Bhagavatam 2.10.6, this is called Swarupena Vyavastitha. The Bhagavad Gita also confirms this situation in this verse. I'll continue, Mataji. After nirvana or too long.
So let's start again. Right? I think we should use the board. We should use the board, right? Huh? Okay, let's try again. So this practice of yoga, by this practice of yoga, one becomes gradually detached from material concepts. This is the primary characteristic of the yoga principle. And after this, one becomes situated in trance or samadhi, which means that the yogi realizes the super soul. All right? I read it again. So first thing, by practice of yoga, one becomes, say, whatever step they are following, we are also following the same step. When we will go through the same stages. All right? So by practice of yoga, as a Bhakti Yogi Prabhupada has given in the whole purport how we do it, one becomes gradually detached from material concepts. Now the thing is that with us, we have to undergo so much different types of sufferings in order to progress. One becomes gradually detached from material concepts. Most thickest misconception is the body, right? So we find that whether you are devotee or no devotee, whatever, you have to go through the breaking up of the body, right? So we say, oh, I'm devotee, why is it that my body is breaking? I can't walk properly. I can't, lift this. I can't do all this. Krishna is breaking up the body. When he's breaking the body, he's actually breaking the false ego. All right? Because if he doesn't break it for us, we will hold on. Right? You say, let me use little more, let me use little more, right? So I read it again. By practice of yoga, one becomes gradually detached from primary concepts. All right? So two things are happening. As your body is breaking down, you who are practicing bhakti yoga, or whichever yoga you're practicing, you understand why it's happening, and therefore you're not unhappy. Understand? You know Krishna is breaking up your body through the laws of nature. This is the primary characteristic of the yoga principle. So, meaning detachment from matter. And after this, one becomes situated in trance. So, when finally we have been able to get rid of the body, of all attachment to the body, then we come in trance, which means that the yogi realizes the super soul through transcendental mind and intelligence without any of the misgivings of identifying the self with the super self. See, in bhakti yoga, we are not going to misidentify the deity with ourselves, right? But in the yoga system, when this yogi, he sees himself, all right? He sees himself, but along with him is the super self, yeah? Atma and Paramatma, all right? The yogi, if he's not trained, he will think that that other personality who I'm seeing is me. All right? I mean, it's like such an illusion. You're seeing, you're having darshan of a personality within your heart, but you're in such ignorance that you're thinking you're seeing yourself. It's amazing, right? So therefore, if you don't have a guru, will tell you, be careful, there are two, not one. Right? Yoga practice is more or less based on the principles of the Patanjali system. So this, what is being discussed here, the Patanjali system. Some unauthorized commentators try to identify the individual soul with the super soul, and the Buddhists think this to be liberation. But they do not understand the real purpose of the Patanjali system of yoga. They do not understand the real purpose of the Patanjali system of yoga. There is an acceptance of transcendental pleasure in the Patanjali system, but the Munis do not accept this transcendental pleasure out of fear of jeopardizing the theory of oneness. Meaning that, just like story now, every 5 minutes it will stop. So, we are so happy to do our deity worship, right? But the Munis, they say, the soul and the super soul is one. All right? Now, so if we say we are more happy to have an idea of two, and so they say, no. So what do they do here? Prabhupada is saying, what do they do? The Monists do not accept this transcendental pleasure out of fear of jeopardizing the theory of oneness. You know, see, this false ego of this Jeev, you know how we never like to accept that there is something that I'm not doing properly. So even when you become a transcendentalist, when you're moving out from this material sphere, right? Even there, you get caught by false ego. So because I have accepted a theory, an understanding, and you say, no, there is something more they don't want to accept. The duality of knowledge and knower is not accepted by the duality of knowledge and knower is not accepted by the non-dualists. But in this verse, transcendental pleasure, realized through transcendent senses, is accepted. And this is corroborated by Patanjali Muni, the famous exponent of yoga system. So Krishna, he has just put one sutra here. The outcome of yoga is that you feel pleasure. And why do you feel this pleasure? Because you are seeing the super self, right? So the yoga system originally as given, accept this. But other yogis who are Munis, they don't accept this. So the great sage declares in his Yoga Sutras, so we have read it now. This Chitta Shakti, this Chitti Shakti, right? This Chitti Shakti or internal potency is transcendental. Purushartha means material religiosity, economic development, sense gratification at the end. The attempt to become one with the Supreme. This oneness with the Supreme is called Kaivalyam by the Munis. But no, so now the Munis, they are saying we become one and therefore we are satisfied. Now Prabhupada is saying that no, Patanjali is saying that this Kaivalyam is an internal or transcendental potency by which the living entity becomes aware of his constitutional position. In the words of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, meaning that once all these upadhis are removed and we are able to see ourselves, then we see it's a question of acceptance of Krishna. Unless and until we are ready to accept Krishna, there's no question of clearing of the mind. Right? So this clearance is actually liberation or bhava mahadavagni nirvapanam. The theory of nirvana, also preliminary, corresponds with this principle. In the Bhagavatam, this is called swarupena vyavasthitihi, meaning we understand who I am and I accept it. I'm a servant of Krishna. I don't become a competitor. I don't become a rival with Krishna. So after nirvana or material cessation, there is the manifestation of spiritual activities or devotional service to the Lord known as Krishna consciousness. Swarupena vyavasthiti, so the real life of the living entity. Maya is the condition of spiritual life contaminated by material infection. What is that material, Maya? What is that material infection?
You're attached to all the material things in life.
Material infection meaning that I want to believe that I am God and that the whole world should obey my order. Right? And that everything belongs to me and everybody should obey my order for enjoyment. And each and everyone is thinking that way, right? Whereas Krishna consciousness means that I accept that Krishna is the owner and that my duty is to accept him and serve him, please him, right? So this is very much visible in family life, right? When everybody think, why you, why not me? Right? Everybody say, why you, why not me? Right? So this is the material infection. Liberation from this material infection doesn't mean destruction of the original eternal position of the living entity. Anyway, see, I'm very much limited by this book, and I could get on my whiteboard, and just describe our material life. If we can understand our material life, we'll understand, here Prabhupada is saying, liberation from this material infection doesn't mean destruction of the original eternal position of the living entity. Meaning, let's take myself. Let's say there are 5 people in the family, right? And everybody's fighting that I'm supreme, right? But if I accept that I exist, you exist, all the children and family members exist because of Krishna, right? I'm not going to change my position as the wife. I'm not going to change my position as the husband. I'm not going to change my position as the father, the mother. I'm only going to see myself as a servant of Krishna, right? And then I'll say, okay, I'm the wife. I'm ready to do those work which a wife likes to do and can do, right? If I'm the husband, I'm ready to do the work which is prescribed for a husband, right? If I am a father, I'm ready to do the work which is prescribed for a father, right? Like right now, we are all fighting because everybody wants to be the number one, right? So we start comparing your work with my work, right? Why you are doing this? So we mixed up roles, we mix up duties, and we go on fighting. Why we are fighting? Because meaning that we all should be one. All of us should be one. When actually we are not one, we are many. See? So, liberation from this material infection does not mean destruction of the original eternal position of the living entity, meaning that I'm happy to be a wife, I'm happy to be in the role of the husband, I'm happy to be in the role of the father, and I as a child, okay, I accept my role, right? So this is variety. So again, I repeat, all of us, we are trying to be one. I want to be that one boss, one God, right? Patanjali also accepts this by his word Kelvalyam Swarupa Pratishtha Va Chitti Shakti Riti. This Chitti Shakti or transcendental pleasure is real life. So nobody is happy when we are trying to we're competing with one another, right? So when finally we accept our own position and we play our role as it has been given to us, then there is transcendental pleasure. All right?
Very deep meaning.
Yeah, I have given, yeah.
It's really so correct, like if each individual takes their own role,
Yes.
then there will be no clashes also.
Yes. Yes. This is confirmed in the Vedanta Sutra. 1.1.12. See the whole family problem, taking family problem because it is the unit of society, right? The whole problem in the families is happening because we exactly the same problem here, this competition with God, competition with Krishna. And we are not realizing that when I'm competing among the family members, I'm actually competing with Krishna. We don't know about it. But Prabhupada is explaining this to us. So, this natural transcendental pleasure, the ultimate goal of yoga, and is easily achieved by execution of devotional service or bhakti yoga. Bhakti yoga will be vividly described in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So Prabhupada is going back to this chapter. In the yoga system, as described in this chapter, there are two kinds of samadhi, called sampragyata samadhi and asampragyata samadhi. When one becomes situated in his transcendental position by various philosophical researchers, he is said to have achieved sampragyata samadhi. So, meaning that we study different types of books, of knowledge, of course, and then we become tranquil. So this is sampragyata samadhi. In the asampragyata samadhi, there is no longer any connection with mundane pleasure, for one is then transcendental to all sorts of happiness derived from the senses. When the yogi is once situated in that transcendental position, he is never shaken from it. Unless the yogi is able to reach this position, he is unsuccessful. Today's so-called yoga practice, which involves various sense pleasures, is contradictory. A yogi indulging in sex and intoxication is a mockery. Even those yogis who are attracted by the siddhis, perfections in the process of yoga, are not perfectly situated. If yogis are attracted by the products of yoga, then they cannot attain the stage of perfection, as is stated in this verse. Persons, therefore, indulging in the make-show practice of gymnastic feats or siddhis should know that the aim of yoga is lost in that way. So, sampragyata samadhi, meaning I'm using my intelligence, right? I'm using my intelligence to control my sense pleasures. And in a sampragyata samadhi is natural. It's just natural. I have no taste for material pleasures. And we go through all this, we control by using our intelligence. The best practice of yoga in this age is Krishna consciousness, which is not baffling. A Krishna conscious person is so happy in his occupation that he doesn't aspire after any other happiness. There are many impediments, especially in this age of hypocrisy, to practicing Hatha Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, and Jnana Yoga. But there is no such problem in executing Karma Yoga or Bhakti Yoga. As long as the body exists, one has to meet the demands of the body, namely eating, sleeping, defending, and mating. But a person who is in pure Bhakti Yoga or in Krishna consciousness does not arouse. Okay, now this is important. But a person who is in pure Bhakti Yoga or in Krishna consciousness does not arouse the senses while meeting the demands of the body. Rather, he accepts the bare necessities of life, making the best use of a bad bargain, and enjoys transcendental happiness in Krishna consciousness. Does it arouse the senses? Meaning that, you don't go on adding stuff in your food or your hearing, in order, because see, we are people of habits, meaning that if I'm not careful with my eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, if I just indulge, give in, little bit, give in, it becomes a habit, and you don't know when you've left the path, right? You just leave the path and you don't know when it happened, how it happened. Rather, he accepts the bare necessities of life, making the best use of a bad bargain, and enjoys transcendental happiness in Krishna consciousness. Now listen to this. His callous towards incidental occurrences such as accidents, disease, scarcity, and even the death of a most dear relative, but he's always alert to execute his duties in Krishna consciousness or Bhakti Yoga. Accidents never deviate him from his duty. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Agama Payo Nityastam Titikshasva Bharata. He endures all such incidental occurrences because he knows that they come and go and do not affect his duties. In this way, he achieved the highest perfection in yoga practice. Right? So not that somebody, Prabhupada is saying there is death of a relative and therefore I'm not going to come for my Bhagavatam class. Right? Isn't it? You will definitely come, you will want to hear, you want to know. Right? And what else Prabhupada says? Accidents happen. Accident can be anything, disease, You may be diseased, but you're not going to stop your service. You're not going to do, physical work, but you will do something. Right? So, he's callous towards incidental occurrences. See, unless we understand this point, we can't be a yogi. We can't be a yogi. Being a yogi means that I'm accepting a process, a path, that will reconnect me to Krishna. All right? So if while I tread the path, I don't become callous to accident, diseases, and death, then I will get deviated and I will fall back. I will fall back. Yeah, I just heard this one person, he was describing how he met one mountaineer. So how he has climbed up to Mount Everest few times. So he was describing about how people fail to reach the goal, right? Meaning the peak. So he was saying that there are many, like, so you climb, and then there are, maybe like plateaus, and then there are boulders, right? So he said that if you don't attempt to climb the boulder, or you try to go around, you will keep on going around and around. So you have to go over the boulder. So yogis are actually climbing boulders. So here it says, Prabhupada is saying he's callous towards accidental occurrences such as incidental occurrences such as accidents, disease, scarcity, and even the death of a most dear relative. Right? So you really have to be rugged to be a yogi. You can't be a sentimentalist. So Prabhupada is giving it here. All right. Okay, so anything?
Mataji, I think that when you move into a Krishna consciousness, then God also gives you the power to face all this in life.
Yeah, of course. We are not going to move up by our own strength.
Then only you will get that strength
Yeah.
to overcome all these.
Yeah. We are tiny and we are already trapped by Maya, right? But if we show to Krishna, if we give the indication to Krishna that we want to come out, he will give us all support. Right? Because it's not possible to climb that boulder. We have to pray to Krishna. Okay. Too many?
I think we have to read 2-3 times more to get into.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how many millions of times I've read this purport. Right?
Means each word is such a deep
Mm.
and you explained it beautifully.
Because you are in front of me.
Really I am very blessed today.
Yeah, because you're in front of me.
Really,
If
thank you so much.
if I would just give, like a recorded video, I won't be able to speak, no? Because you're in front of me, and then Krishna is who's in your heart inspires me to speak.
Like, it's really you made it so like means to make me understand.
All right. Thank you. Hare Krishna.